Okay, so today I wanted to talk about baiting up in spring, how much the fish can actually eat during the springtime. The water's getting a little bit warmer now. Last week it was 8.5, 2 days ago it was 10.4, so we're going to test it today. It's all about biomass and water temperature. Oxygen is great as well, if you can read that. It is a bit windy, I hope you can hear me. Yeah, if you can read the oxygen as well, that's great, but usually in spring and winter it's not too much of an issue, unless you've had like a thunderstorm or really low pressure. That can affect the oxygen, it saps the oxygen out of the water, but normal low pressure and springtime shouldn't really have an oxygen problem. So the two main things you want to be looking for is biomass and water temperature. So I've got my trusty old OxyGuard here. I'm going to whack it on. These are quite expensive, but you don't have to get one of these. It's just, you know, anything that will read temperature. Most bait boats and deepers and all that do it. So as you can see, it does oxygen, temperature, and then it will do percentage oxygen as well. So at the moment it's saying it's 16.6 degrees outside, so it's lovely and warm. I'm just going to plonk this in the water. Obviously I'm only measuring here how far I can get it to go down, so I'll go maybe 1.5 foot, 2 foot under the water, and then I'll just leave it until the temperature settles, and then go from there. Okay, so I've had this in the water now for sort of 5 minutes or so. Like I said, the probe's 2 meters down, 2 foot down, so obviously the further down you go, the colder it gets, so you have to sort of bear in mind the depth of your lake, wherever you're fishing, but you know, 2 foot, a good margin temperature. So that is at 11.5, which is quite good for this time of year, so the water's definitely warming up. We have had a few cold nights, but it's definitely warming up. So 11.5 degrees, so anywhere between 10 and 12 degrees water temp, you're looking at 1% of the biomass. So if you take a biomass of a ton, that's 10 kilos a day, 1% that the fish will eat. So it's very easy to sort of think, oh, spring, I've got fish PVA bags and pop-ups and all that kind of stuff, which obviously, yeah, it works, but just to get a sort of gauge of what the fish are capable of eating per day at different water temperatures, it's definitely worth knowing. The lake owner or the bailiff might know the biomass of the lake wherever you're fishing. Obviously you need to take into consideration what other anglers are putting in, but if you're on a syndicate or something like that, there's no reason why you can't kind of get together and have a chat about not putting too much out or not putting enough out, whatever. So they would eat more than that, but generally as a fishery owner, for growth rates and not wasting money on too much bait, so to speak, yeah, between 10 and 12 degrees is 1% of the biomass. So like I said, a ton, that's 10 kilos a day that the fish will have. I will put a picture up now somewhere to show you the different percentages for different water temps. I think you'd probably be quite surprised. I'll show you what I'm feeding them. It's not heavily boilies, so it's not 10 kilos of boilies that are going out this time of year. It's mostly particle, handful of boilies, maize, wheat, chickpeas, that kind of stuff, but I'll show you the mix now anyway. Okay, so this is what they're getting from me at the moment. As you can see, good mix of particle, some boilies in there, that's a lot of wheat, maize, some chickpeas in there, really good stuff. They like grubbing on it, all particles, that kind of small stuff. Been catching on maize recently, so I've got a few boilies in there just because I've got one rod on boilies, but that's our sort of spring mix. The whole lot is absolutely laced in garlic oil. Now, soaks better into pellets, sorry, but I've got it in my particle at the moment. Garlic's a great flavour and oil for fish this time of year. It helps their immune system, and I absolutely love it. So what you got to think about now is how much bait to put in at what time of the day. So obviously in the daytime, if it's nice and sunny, they're going to be in the upper layers of the water. So if you've got a shallow end that's only sort of 2 or 3 foot deep, it's a good place to be. If you're somewhere that allows zig fishing, it's always worth a go. And then what I tend to do is I'll just put a PVA bag out with maybe half a scoop over the top of it, of that mix I've shown you, and then just ready for a good night fish in the evening. I'll go out and I'll put, I'm fishing 3 rods, and as I said, we've got around about a ton of carp in here, maybe 1200, something like that. So I'm not putting out the 10 kilo that I normally would if I wasn't fishing, if I was just feeding them, but I'm putting a good 5 kilo out. Mostly small food items, so sounds like a lot, but it's not really, especially over 3 rods. So yeah, I think this time of year plan for the night fishing. That's just me personally, but yeah, that's it. Basic watercraft, follow the warm water, and you should get a few bites.